Hello, hello, hello. Crafty Chris here with another Scrap Your Scrap Thursday night. Tonight we are going to be making rainbows. So I have a number of different materials that I'm going to use in different stencils and dies to create rainbows. Some of them are going to go on ATC cards, and the other ones are just going to go into my pile of things that I can use for cards or layouts in the form of an ephemera. So this should be a lot of fun. I think the first thing I'm going to do is the stenciling version of the rainbow. So I'm just going to move these guys aside a little bit. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 card bases, and I'm going to be blocking out my stencil so that I can stencil in different colors in each of the strips. And, that's not a very complicated way to do things, but it's a fun way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this down because this is nice and stiff. I can put a tiny bit of tape behind it to keep it from moving very much. You just want it to lay nice and flat. I am going to have my rainbow. So how many spots? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spots. I want to get it down to fewer than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots. And I think 8 spots is about as far down as I can go. So maybe I just won't do those 2 and then I'll have 6. There we go. All right, so now I'm just going to mask up a couple of things here. I'm going to start with these bottom corners, and this mask is going to help the stencil stick down as well. So I'm using it in that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent. Now I have 6 colors. I think I'm just going to put a little bit of tape there, keep it all nice and firm. And now I'm going to start my rainbow. So we have our colors in rainbow order here. And I'm just trying to think about if I want to go from light to dark. Let's see. Well, let's play with it this way. Since we have it here, I'm going to grab one of my foam holders, and I am going to get a sticky note. The sticky notes are awesome for just small areas of inking. It took me a long time to figure that word out. All right, so I'm just going to go in and I am going to ink up this spot, get it to the density that I want, nice and dark. And we're going to pop that on the bottom again. Done that one. Then the next one is the blue. And I am going to leave this on this side, covering over my purple. Get another one. And cover over these guys. So I'm going to get this nice and charged up. And it might take me a couple of times to get it done. Got a new phone, and it has lots of interesting sounds, but I can't figure out how to turn them off. So I apologize if you hear them throughout this video, because I really have no clue how I'm going to turn them off at the moment. There we go. Now this paper is a watercolor paper, and I think I'm using the pattern side. So we're going to get some texture in with our ink. And now we're going to move to green. So let's pull this guy off. Whoops. Pulled the entire sticky thing off there. That's all right. I can fix that later. And now we're going to move from this one to this one. I just want to make sure that these guys are not pulling any color up. And this one is green. And this is the yellow. Looks orange, but it is yellow. And now I'm going to try a different edge. I just don't want to end up getting mixed colors here. So I'm just going to take a quick wipe on my fingers and just curl this up in a ball, use it later. All right, now we're moving to orange. It's an interesting orange. It's kind of like a burnt orange. I could have used something brighter, but I want to use up some of my older inks that I don't intend to continue to purchase. The little thing is bent up. I'll show you what I mean once I pull it all apart. And then my last color is red. All right, there we go. And this is my first attempt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 6 more of these, but I'm going to change the order of the colors. Ready? Here are my finished 6 stenciled with ink in rainbow colors. So I started with purple in this corner and shifted purple as I went so that they're all sort of different, and wash this off. Obviously you need to wash off your stencils and things when you're finished. And look at how pretty these are. So you know I'm going to hang on to those. I'll figure out something to do with those because they are lovely. All right. Now the next thing we are going to do is I am going to take, I've got these rainbow dies, and I figured out how I can, if I can get them sorted here, how I can place them on the paper so that I can get the biggest bang for my buck when I'm laying down this color. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that in just a moment. This is very tight, but it will work. And that's kind of on its own. So what I want to do before I go any further is draw myself a line. And that's kind of where I have to stop one color before it goes into the next color. This one is fine. So I'm going to start with yellow on the outside, and then I'm going to move through the different colors, and I have to look at what's going on in the sizes to make sure I don't mess up. So this one is going to be yellow, and I don't have to do the whole piece of paper. I'm going to push this right up to the top, and I'm going to do till about there. And that should be enough to get my die cut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread my liquid pop dot stuff onto the paper as if it were a texture paste. So, where is my rubber spatula? Here it is. It's a bit dusty. Haven't used it in a while. So, I'm technically just going to go over to my line and spread this out in a nice layer. This one is very transparent, but I thought it would be very cool to have a transparent. You have to make sure you do not have a yucky, dirty spatula because it's picking up the dirt. All right. Let's see if I can pull that out a little. So I'm just going to continue to spread that. There we go. Right to the edges. And it's very, very pale, so I think I'm going to add a second coat to this, but after it's dried. So that goes for the big one. And we're just going to put that up to dry. The second size, I think, is this one. Yes, it is. So we're going to keep that one. And I'm just going to wipe off my spatula so it's nice and clean. The color that comes after yellow could be orange or it could be green. Which way do we want to go? Yellow, I'm going to say green. We're going to do green. So I'm going to do green in the big part here. Let's get my green out. This is a little more color in it. Again, I'll probably put a second color. So there's my green. And I'm going to need that again. So let me put that dye there. So that dye, and then that dye. And we're going to wipe this off again. Cleaning between is very important because you get goopy stuff otherwise. Now this is a total experiment, so I don't know how this is going to turn out. And then green, after green comes blue, and I think this is the next size. Yes, it is. As with any mixed media stuff, you want to make sure you have your hands handy on paper towels. That's that one. Then I think the next one is this one. Yep. So we are going to, and the reason I've kept these together rather than cutting them apart is because it's much harder to hold a little piece of paper than like a whole big piece of paper. So this is why I've kept the two pieces together, because it's just a little easier. So then blue, I think, is next. What did I do? I did yellow, then green, then blue, then purple. So this is purple. I just think it's going to be a neat sort of glassy surface. To this side, this is going to be the next one, but it has to dry first. So let's do some drying. And how I'm going to dry these is with a cool hair dryer. So I'm not going to dry it with a hot instrument because that will just keep it wet and heat it up and might even bubble the surface, which is fine if that's what you want, but I'm not going for bubbling at this point. So I'm going to just move the pieces off. I'm going to get my hair dryer. And my hair dryer, I'll just show it to you, has high, off, and low. And it's always heat unless I press this button. If I press that button, then it gives me cool. So I'm going to start with low and cool. You want to make sure that you're holding it down. So that is already dry. That's how fast it works. And that, I think, was this one. This one has been ruined, so I need to do that one again. And I think that was purple. This is blue, so I'm going to just put that over there. Did I have that one? No. That hit this one. I don't know what one had what one. As long as I get them on there, I think it's okay. All right. Now this one I have to redo. This is going to have an interesting surface because it's been a bit ripped up. And get a nice layer on there. You can see the purple more. So I'm going to put that aside for a second. I will dry it in a minute. I just need to clean off my thing. I'm still going to dry it. Not quite dry yet because it's thicker. So I'm just going to put that up there. Now these guys are dry, so I'm going to put a second coat on them. So I'm going to start with my yellow. And why am I doing this? Because I'm just experimenting with what I can do with this. It is a medium. It doesn't always have to be used. And now you can start to see some of the yellow. So it's going to be very pale, but I am okay with that. And this one is green. Green is starting to show up better. You can't really see it because the lighting is too bright. But trust me when I say the color is, actually I think I've got these reversed. There we go. Is darkening up. This one I haven't done yet. So that's green, blue, I might do an extra coat with the blue. When you see them side by side, you actually can see the color. Okay, this one I need to dry more. I'm going to stick that under. I'll just do a quick run at these guys as well. And let me just grab this one. Yeah, that's good to go. So that one will be ready for. All right, so I am getting some cracking, which is fine and dandy because I suspect that'll happen when I die cut it anyway. All right, so that one we're taking care of. This one goes on here, and that one goes on there. All right, so we have yellow, and then we have green, and then we have blue, and then we have purple. So then the next one, this one here, has to be red. So the red is much brighter. So we're going to put that up there. Okay, this one is going to be orange, and then I'll have yellow in the center. Small yellow in the center. And then we're going to add yellow to this little one. So we are going to dry these again. I'm going to give this another shot. So I'm going to put some more yellow on here. And I think the orange is good. I'm going to leave the orange and I'm going to leave the red. Okay, I've pulled out my Sizzix Sidekick. Now we're going to do some cutting. So I'm cutting the face. I'm going to try and do more than one at a time. It's a bit. So this one can be done right away. That one can go there, like that. And then what is the next size up? That's green. So I've got my extended plate on here. Actually, I think I'll turn this around so we don't waste the space on the platform for this empty stuff here. And then I have more room to put this on. So that is not this. Whoa, I got the wrong thing on the wrong side. So we had yellow first. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to cut insides of them. And then that way I have a mini set as well as a regular set. I'm hoping that'll all stay together. Let's see what happens. Oh, so there's a big one. There's the offcut. And there's our little yellow rainbow piece. And I'm thinking of doing this because I want not to make it too layered, because 6 layers is going to be a lot. So there's that. Now this one is the second sized one. And I'm going to put this inside as well. Oh, this wasn't quite dry enough. Oh well. This is the yellow, then the green. That I'm going to have to repair. That was yellow as well, the small yellow. Let's just do that very quickly. Put it aside to dry. It's a little harder to hold, like I said. There we go. Stick that in there. That can go dry up there. So we have yellow and green. And then the next one, that was the one I used. Yep. So then this one needs to come out of the blue. I think this is good to go. I have to keep flipping my arm here because I'm on a mat, so it shifts around after each time I pull it. There's the blue. Uh-oh. Something happened there. Oh, nuts. Nuts, nuts, nuts. Should have been this one. Let me see if I can do it. I can still do it, folks. That is lucky. So I got it out of order, which isn't a big deal at this point because I'm able to stick it down. It'll stay. There we go. That one's a boo-boo. And this is what we wanted. There we go. So we got the blue in there. It's all very pale. I know you can't see it right from here. So then this one was the inside of that one. Perfect. Blue, now we're doing purple. This little die set came out of the Spellbinders 2022 Advent calendar. Sorry, took me a minute. So this is purple. And this fits in here now. There we go. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. So that one can go in here. And now this one, is this the next one? It is red. So we need the outside and the inside. And as I've always said with dies and die cutters, you should only have to go through once. If you're going back and forth, you've got something either too thick or something wrong with your sandwich. Look at that. You can't see it because that light's too bright, but you will be able to see it soon, I promise. So that one goes there. And that's an offcut. And then we have this one. I don't want that in there. I'm going to turn it upside down. There we go. Just a little fiddly because they're so small. There we go. This is our orange. A little tiny one is yellow. Just have to dry it a tiny bit more. But before I do that, I'm going to add a little more. Just not happy with the color there. All right. All right. Now I'm going to dry this. Okay, just needs a little more time. In the meantime, this is our rainbow. And we're going to put that on a piece of cardstock. And these are our leftover pieces. And you can see if you try to stack them, they get really, really, really thick. So it's two different ways. One is stacked and one is just with its a yellow piece in the center here as soon as this is dry. Okay, we're going to try this. Hopefully it's dry enough. That's our little one that goes in the center. All right. We have lots left on that one. Okay. This is a bit of a mess on here, so I'm going to scrape that off before it gets on there solidly. All right. So there we go. There is those two things. So let's put them on some paper. I don't really know what I'm going to use these things for, which one are going to be on the ATCs and which aren't. I am going to mount them onto white card. I have one of these full of white cards less than 8 by 8. I am going to pick one that is going to be the size, two actually, that are going to be the size of these. That one I think can mount on itself, but this one I need a card for. Let's get a ruler. We're just going to figure out, we need about 3 3/4 inches. So I don't really care about what's underneath it, as long as it's a bit of a sturdy card. Put my little guy over there. And I think I'm just going to put down a couple of pieces of double-sided tape. Maybe one piece. I have this really thick tape, which is just a tiny bit under. So I'm going to add 1/4 inch, I think, tape beside it. And now let's see. Yeah, it's just a little under. So I'm going to use my 1/4 inch tape, which I have right here. This should be enough. Let's take tops off. And I'm going to start from the outside and work my way in. And I'm going to line up the outside with the corner and along the bottom. And I'm going to take my this little rolly tool that I use for, there could be any tool, just not something sharp. You don't want to rip the surface of your thing that you've done, spent all that time doing. That red really is much brighter than anything else. There we go. And there we have it. And now I'm just going to trim around. And there we go. There's our first rainbow. You can, let me see if I can just dim this a little bit. You can see the color change. It's harder to see the color change with the lighting here, but you can see it go from yellow to green to blue to purple to red to yellow to orange to yellow again. And if I want to intensify it a little bit, I can always add a tiny bit more around the edges, which I think I might do. There we go. Now we're going to do this one. We do not need any more of this, so I'm just going to trim off the sticky. There we go. This goes back in my cardstock in case I need it for a different project. 6 to my finger. All right, now we're going to do this one. We're going to use some glue for this one. Let's glue away. All right, just going to put glue close to the edge, but not right at the edge. I don't want the glue to come out from underneath if I can avoid it. And I'm going to try to center it on the back. There we go. It slides around, which is a good thing, I guess. There we go. We have 2 layers. Now this layer, if you remember, was the one that I incorrectly cut. I have to be careful putting this one down because I've got to put a piece in the center of it to give it the bulk to support the piece that goes on top. There we go. And now this piece, oops, is the missing piece that goes inside. Not worried about getting to the edges because the edge of the first piece is going to hold it in. And now this is the one that's going to cover that, and this one I do want to get close to the edge but not over. And then this one is going to go on top. And then this one. And there's our second rainbow. And you can see the color change again. Very pale. And I'm okay with that. Gives it a different look. So we'll put those on the pile that we had the other ones in. All right, so now we're going to do some more die cutting. And this time we're going to do it with paper that's all the same color. So now I think I figured out I could do 2 from each piece, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a heart die, and it has multiple little areas. And so I'm going to cut 6 of these out with the 6 different colors, but I'm not using the light colors. I'm using more opaque colors right here. And I'm just going to mark off with my pencil, if I can find my pencil. There it is. The edge of here. I'm going to draw a ruler line and see if that gives me enough space to do a second piece on here. Oh, it does. Oh, barely, yes, but it does. All right. So I'm going to just draw that line on all of them. This is why I keep paper, because I can really use it all up. Doesn't matter what order I do things in, because I'm doing the whole section. And as you can see, this stuff is much more opaque. Ooh, look at that pretty color. Wow. Just trying to get it right to that edge. These are supposed to be dot making materials. So you put it down and it's dimensional, and I'm actually kind of going counter to that. I'm trying to make it flat. There we go. That's that one done. I'm going to have to leave that to dry for a minute. So this one you do have to clean a little better because it is so brightly colored that you will see it. Okay, that was orange. Let's do red. And I'll just wipe off that so it doesn't dry. Because I know my heart is going to be in the center section more than anything, I want to really try to make sure that that center section is nice and full of color. There we go. Let's do the dark ones, purples next. Because I do see that it is completely jammed. Now what I would normally do if I wasn't needing it right now is I would just go and wash it, take it off. You can pop these off. See, this is what I mean by popping off. Now, let me see if I can dig some of this out. I'm going to get the wet stuff out of there. I can poke out the inside, which is all yucky. See how it's starting to come out there? Normally, if I just wash it, it would take less time, but we don't have time for that. And I'm going to pop this on. So if I were to wash it, I would not leave this exposed. I'd put a little piece of press and seal. There we go. Oh, that's already come hard. And this I'm going to need 2 layers on because it is less opaque than the other 2 colors. Let's go back to the red. We're going to dry the red so we can move on. So we did red, we did orange, we did purple, and we are not using heat. We are using cold. So I'm going to put another layer on this right away. Have to be careful not to put too much pressure on it because it will blow the lid off. And that will be awesome. So I'm going to stick that in there. So we have yellow to go. Okay, I'm going to put that aside. We are going to do green with the orange. This one is pearlized. Like I said, I'm just using what I have. Another one, I'm going to pop the lid. And flatten out what we have here. As flat as we can get. It's a bit chunkier than the other. And I'm just going to put that aside to dry. But the nice thing about this round of stuff is that the color is deeper. So we really, other than the purple, we really didn't have to go and double up anything. Get our blue on here. Need to dig it out. That's what happens when you don't use them. So what's the lesson? Use your stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to use that because it actually looks hard. Sort of in the top. Oh, it's loose underneath, but this stuff is really hard. So you know what I'm going to do? I don't want to lose that. I'm going to squish it out onto here and it will dry. And then I'll use it as some kind of a texture. Not liquidy. I am not giving up. We are going to do it this way. I'm going to take the lid off and scoop her out. Because I feel like I just got chunky stuff in the beginning part. This might end up being texture paste. This is going to be neat. Oh my gosh, look at how cool that is. I am loving it. Okay, we're leaving it. Don't want to mess with it anymore. But that is really funky. Look at that. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what's going on. Okay, that just needs a little more. And how are we doing here? Gonna dry the green. So I did touch it and blue came off my finger. My goodness, making a mess. Making a mess. A fun mess. But I should be able to wipe it off because it's glossy surfaced. So we have our orange and our green ready to go. I think our red and our yellow is ready to go. This one needs a little more time. Almost dry. It's not quite there yet. I might have to dry the back. It is a lot moister than these other two are. Okay, so now let's get our little cutting die. And we are going to cut. Oh. Wonder if I can do two things. No, this won't. This won't. And this is going to be too big. Yeah, I'll cut that out of something else. All right, where's my mutts? Here's my mutts. So this is going to go right up to the edge, so we don't get any green. And it should give us all those different parts of the heart. How do we do? Oh, yes. Lovely. Oops. I did a boo-boo on my green. So this did cut through nicely. I'm going to have to trim a few things because this has a little overhang on it. But there is orange. With my pokey tool, it looks the same on both ends, so I put some washi tape on the pokey end. Otherwise, I keep opening the wrong end every time I go. Oh man, this is pretty cool. And there's our first heart. Isn't that cool? Now, let me just touch this up a tad. We'll give that a second to dry. Nobody even notice. That's going to dry. Now we're going to go here. Getting that stuck, I'm leaving that towards the top. So there's number 2. There's number 2. The 2 heart. This die cut's amazing. Look at, I can maybe use those for something, just like I can maybe use those for something. We're going to do the green neck, couple of little boo-boos. Okay, I'm not deterred. That'll be just fine, but I do want to get it off of here before it dries solid. It's just a little too tacky. Our purple's ready, but this guy is just not ready. I'm afraid to put him through. I'm going to take a minute to dry him, and I will be back. All right, so I dried this, but you know what? It's still cool on the back. I don't want to wait any longer, so I'm going to do a hack. I am going to take a piece of wax paper, and I'm just going to cover it so that it releases from the die. So I'm hoping that that will be enough. Now this side is thicker too, so I may run into some problems. I might have to trim out the die, which is fine. So let's... Oh, it cut right through that. That's awesome. And look, beautiful. Nothing stuck on it. And it cut right through the back. In fact, it did such a great job. I've got little bubbles where the holes were. All right, now I have to take the wax paper off of that. Ooh, I don't know. There's an opening here. There we go. Just lifting that up. Seemed to be okay. I'm lifting it up before I separate it because I think it'll just be easier to get at the corners while it's still attached, like this. Come on, I don't want to ruin the surface. I have a flat end here. I'm just going to smoosh those little things that stuck up. Oh, it didn't cut all the way through. Not a problem. The idea worked. And I can simply cut through with my fussy cutting scissors the rest of the way. These fussy cutting scissors are the best. They cut right to the tip. So you can be absolutely accurate. Where some of them cut only to a little bit before the end of the scissor. There we go, a little bit of patience. And I just want to show you what I meant by pushing down the little bit Where'd it go? So on here, there's that little round circle there that you can see. And when I flatten it out, you can't see it anymore. So that was an interesting process. I learned a lot. Hope you learned some. So now we're going to cut our last one. And there's our purple heart. I'm just going to scrape this off because I do not want anything sticking to my plate. And I'm not poking it down, I'm just scraping on the side. So I try to keep a flat plate. Now, how are we going to put these together, you ask? Well, this is the thing. All right, so this is the outer layer. We're going to go back to our container that has our white cardstock, and we are going to pull. It's always good to clean up as you go because you don't want a big mess at the end. It's really disheartening. All right, so we are going to cut a bunch of hearts. Now there's some really heavy stuff here which I don't really want. I want the lighter stuff. So I'm going to have to trim these down in order to get them to cut properly. And we know that these are 2.5 inches, so just under 2.5 inches. Let's do some die cutting and see how far we get, and if we need more, we got one there. All right. I'm going to need 6 of these backgrounds. There's one. Don't have enough room for another, but that's a beautiful piece for scrap. That's number 2. I think that's it for tonight for cutting. Now we just have to glue these down. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I should have put some sticky 2-sided tape. That would have been smart. So let's do it now. So now what I want to do is to figure out how I'm laying them down. So I'm doing it on the opposite side because I don't know if it's going to fit right in. Well, I do know that it's not going to fit right in. So I've got like a 1/16 of an inch all the way around everything. Okay, that's going to make things interesting. So where's my grippy tool? I wonder if this will grip. Oh, it does. Awesome. All right, so this is going to be a bit of a challenge. I'm not sure how this is going to go, so we're going to try one. And hopefully it'll look beautiful. All right, so I'm going to pull off the sticky stuff. And, all right, so now I need to put these guys. Whoa, no, not like that. Uh-huh. That was almost a catastrophe. So at the bottom of each of the hearts, I need to put a color. Okay, this is the last one. We need to do our rainbow effect. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 different colors. So if I started red and then I put orange, so we have red, we have orange, and after red, orange, then yellow. I'm hoping that I'm putting these in the right place with enough distance apart. So what happened was my yellow was a little too close to the green, but I lifted it, and now I can recenter it There's some space and some glue. Ooh. There we go. This is our first one, so it's going to be weird. So my red is going to go right here. My purple is going to go right there. So this one is not perfect, but you get the idea. Look at that. I can. My pick is allowing me to move things up. So that's number one. That did not work out as pleasingly as I had hoped. But that's what happens when you're experimenting. So I'm going to put these guys here first. And I'm going to go right along that edge. So this would be red. So let me put the purple over here. About there. It's always tighter on that side. So maybe this has to move over. Okay, so there's the second one. All right, apparently I jumped ahead. So what I did is, in the meantime, is I pulled out some glitter, some white glitter to maintain the whiteness. And now I'm just filling in where the sticky is with glitter. And I'm really pouncing it down with my brush. This is my garbage brush. It does all the heavy lifting. You want to get it into those crevices and cracks. And yep, it makes a mess. And you try to get as much off your fingers as you can. And you tap it out of the brush. I do not suggest washing it and putting it into the sink. It will just go into the water. It's dirty enough as it is. There we go. How pretty is that? Glitter, glitter, glitter. Now I'm only doing it on the 3 that have... That's one way to do it. Why not do it that way, Chris? Just drop the whole thing in there. And there we go. Pretty sparkly. So this isn't any better than any other way of doing glitter. It still makes a mess, especially if you're using fine glitter. This fine glitter just goes everywhere. Beautiful. Glitter, glitter, glitter. You can see it. There you go. You can see it a little better. All right, those are done. Now I'm not going to do those 3 on camera because they need to dry because I repaired them. All right, so these guys are going to just sit off to the side. Those guys are going to sit off to the side. Good as it's... Oh. Okay. Glitter fest. Right into the garbage. Oh, my husband's going to love that. Okay, that's about as good as it's going to get. And this is just going to stay very quietly over there. And I'm not going to touch it. Oh my gosh, there's glitter everywhere. But I knew that was going to happen. Okay, I'm going to stick this guy back on here. And I'm just going to take my hands, my glittery hands, and brush them into the garbage. Like so. All right, so we have 6 cards. And I want opposite colors. So maybe that one can go there. But at the same time, I very much like the background. So these can pop up there. This can go to one side because I want to have a place for some kind of a saying. I think I like those three, and we'll start there. So what I want to do is I'm going to pop dot this. I like the idea of it being up in this corner. Look at that. Whoops, it's not straight. Don't look at it. Okay, now you can. There we go. There's one. There's two. I'm using up old pop dots, old inks, old dies. Aren't they cute? Okay, so we've got these three ready to go. I'm going to put these aside. The green is going to dry. And now we're going to make some quick sentiments. Got my platform. And I'm going to make three of each sentiment. Got Be the Rainbow. That's one. I am going to use Wishing You a Colorful Day. Now, let's just put these aside for now. And here we go. Set these up. These are just going to be white on black, or black on white, rather. There we go. And, uh-oh. I lost a magnet somewhere. But I'm not going to worry about it. As long as I remember to continue. Oops, I have to have space. So this is Wishing You. Oops, you can't see what I'm doing. There we go. I can't even see what I'm doing, so let's turn this around this way. Oops. Alrighty. Now I just want to make sure that I always push it into the corner. So make sure it goes right into the corner, and I'm just going to powder up my sticky. It's just regular powder, and then I just wipe off the excess. There we go. So it's not so sticky. Push everything into the corner. Take my black ink and load it up. I should probably do it this way. Make sure everything's in there. And I don't need to have a tool for pushing things down. Oops, I didn't get enough. The rainbow stamp is a bit thicker. So this rainbow stamp is thicker than this set of stamps, so it's hard for me to get that put in there. That'll do. All right. So I'm just going to snip that off. I'm going to do this 3 times. There we go. I should really be cutting this. There we go. Number 2. And there we go. Okay. That's good. And now it's time to trim the sentiments. I am just gonna trim this down a little bit more. And it's going to just sit over top at the bottom of the heart and be pop dotted. And I'm just going to put a little glue on that side. And there's my finished piece. And this one, that one is cut a little too close. Don't really like it. I'll trim this closer. And we'll just play with that a little bit. Wishing you a colorful day. And I do think I want that pop dotted. So we'll put some pop dots on the back of that. So it goes with the rainbow. And there's the second one finished. And of course, on the back, we are going to put our stamp that tells our people that are in the group what it is and what the date is and everything else. I'll just finish this one, and then that is it for this week, folks. And of course, you can use these in any way on anything. So they turned out quite pretty. I'm very happy with the way these turned out. And this one I'm going to put there. So I'll pull these out so you can see them. And I think I am going to darken these just a bit now that they're pretty dry. There we go. Be the rainbow. So here we have our 3 finished, and I'll be finishing those as well once the green is dry. And that's it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed what we did tonight, and if you enjoyed it, please share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the video at the end of the video under the video in YouTube. Bye!